Hi, it is the 14th of April today, and sorry if I look a little bit messy. I spent from 7:45 to 3 p.m. at the Daily Bread Food Bank, sorting food, sorting canned goods, sorting beauty products, and sorting breads and frozen meats. While I was on my way to the Daily Bread Food Bank this morning, I found out via our handy dandy, which by the way is also because of what Jonas Regatta wanted to do in terms of controller me, and through a bunch of somebody to break into my apartment named Paul McDonald to break into my apartment on a Sunday afternoon to throw some microphones all over my bedding. I also have a microscopic microphone embedded in my ear canal. So I can still hear. So through the handy dandy microphone in my hearing aid, which before, when I was on my way to the food bank, sorry. I think, first of all, before I say this, I would like to issue, and if I ever get into Catch Fire Toronto, or if I ever get to Catch Fire Rally in Durham, or any Catch Fire church for that matter, I would like to issue a public apology to Kate Daniels Smith. I would like to issue that public apology because and I'm going to say this, I was given full authority for what I spoke about Kate Daniels Smith from Duncan. And once again, I'm going to reiterate that anything that I speak about when I speak about Kate Daniels Smith or when I speak about Duncan, I am given authority and permission to do so, because if I wasn't, I would be arrested or charged over the past 3 years in speaking about them. I was given permission to say that she stole $7,000, which, okay, that may have happened. That still did happen, but she was not going to release the money. She was under the impression, in a conversation with a friend of hers, and also a mutual friend of mine who used to be a pastor of a satellite church of Toronto Airport Christian Fellowship. At one point it was called St. Catherine's Vineyard, and then it was called the Father's House, and then it was disbanded because of, and then it became Catch Fire Niagara, but I'm not going to go through the whole reason. But after Dave and Tracy Giesbrecht were the pastors of both St. Catherine's Vineyard and the Father's House when it became the Father's House, and I attended that church when I got into the actual, revival, renewal movement. And so Tracy Giesbrecht, I lived at Dave and Tracy's house for I think about 7 months in 1996-97. Their daughters, I helped them with their daughters. I lived in the home, and yeah. Anyways, so that's their relationship. They were pastors, and they knew Duncan, and they knew Kate, because Kate and Duncan were on staff over at Toronto Airport Christian Fellowship. They also do those, they call it the older people, or the originals, I guess, like Mark and Ken DuPont, such as Linda Cooley, Georgia and Winnie Banoff, and so all of the old, they call them the old people, but they're not old people. They're the original people who were there in the original movement, who were part of the church, and who were staff and leaders of the offset of the of satellite churches. So, anyways, Tracy, I had actually would like to publicly apologize to Kate for what I said about her, for what I said. Duncan had no knowledge of this before when he allowed me to do this, so I publicly apologized for Kate, and I asked for her forgiveness for doing what I did. what Tracy Giesbrecht did under the under the instruction of Linda Cooley. Linda Cooley knows Tracy Giesbrecht. They knows the Giesbrechts when Dave and Tracy were in Qatar, because Dave was teaching English as a second language there, and this was before he left this earth. She knew him, and she knew what. I mean, she knew, or he knew her. He knew him. He knew the family. So, what Linda Cooley did, because Linda Cooley is now a member of the enemy's camp, as I so to speak. Yesterday, in yesterday's posting, I was speaking about the different organization, the different statuses and the organization. Linda Cooley is, I believe, he is called a cheetah in the organization, which is below, from what I can understand and what I hear, is below a hyena, but is above. I don't know how it works. So it's because it's a land animal. It's above like a vulture, and of course a crocodile and a lizard, and above a gazelle, I believe. Anyways, Linda Cooley is a cheetah in the enemy's camp. Linda Cooley, because Duncan had spoke to Linda Cooley about him being my companion, and Duncan said no, and I said no. Linda Cooley got angry. Linda Cooley got jealous. Linda Cooley was part of the enemy's camp. So Linda Cooley instructed Tracy Giesbrecht, who I put down as my emergency contact for my storage unit over at Migson Storage. You had to have an emergency contact. I put her down because Linda Clausen, who was my original emergency contact when I went down to North Carolina, had gone into my storage locker and rifled through my things. And my relationship with Linda had lost. That was it. There was no, because she didn't agree with me going down to North Carolina and then coming back. And then I spent a month at her home, and she didn't agree with me moving up to Etobicoke, and she didn't agree with me moving up to after what had happened, and I got scammed out of $1,000. She thought I should remain in Niagara. A lot of people did. A lot of people thought I should remain in Niagara, and I did not want to remain in Niagara. I'm done for St. Catharines. That just because a lot of people in St. Catharines who are in a position like Linda or different other people's, a lot of people in St. Catharines, it's almost like a spirit of captivity over that. I'm not talking about people who are in the organization in St. Catharines and belong to that organization. I'm talking about people who they are born, they're raised, they go to elementary school, they go to high school, they go to college or university, they get a job, they get married, they have children, they join a church, they join activities, and then that's it. They stay, they live, they born, live, and they die in St. Catharines or in Niagara. A lot of people do. A lot of people are very happy doing that. A lot of people are very happy and fulfilled living their lives that way. Then there's a whole other section of people who, like myself, who venture out and who want more, like a lot of young people who want more. They go to university outside of the city and they don't come back. They venture out. The population now in Niagara, in Grimsby, Beamsville, and a lot of the population tends to be a lot of the baby boomers. A lot of those from that generation in the they're born between 1940s to probably about the 1960s. They were not baby boomers, but 40s and 50s, born in that time, as well as born in the 60s and 70s. That was my generation, 60s and 70s. I was born in 69. So we have those generations. But also in St. Catharines, over the course of the last 10 years, there have been a lot of people from different, like Afghanistan, Muslim people who settled in Niagara, who settled in St. Catharines in particular. There's a mosque over on Geneva Street. Anyway, so that, irregardless, people had wanted me to come back to St. Catharines. They spoke about me going back to St. Catharines. Tracy spoke about me going back to St. Catharines. Linda Cooley spoke about me going back to St. Catharines. Mark DuPont spoke about me going to Burlington. there have been people, and then we also have people such as Sandra Long. We have Norman Brown, Lillian Brown, and Josh Grotham, Linda Jeffries, Lisa and Greg Satchel, and Jeff Yancey, and Kevin Jeffrey, who have a different agenda for me wanting to go back to St. Catharines, because there's that $20 million price on my $20 million price on my head to get me back to St. Catharines in order to have me lynched and annihilated. They've said it over the microphone, just like Melanie and Genesis got to the house too. So this was a different agenda. The agenda was that Linda Cooley had instructed Tracy Giesbrecht to instead of forwarding me some money, which Kate understood that's what that was going to happen, that she was going to give me some money for my storage locker and to bring my things up. Instead, what happened is that Tracy Giesbrecht actually arranged the auction of my things, and she actually made sure that they arranged the auction. There were some personal items. There were 4 boxes, and I had actually messaged her, and I said, are you going to be anywhere in St. Catharines over the course before Easter or before the 15th? And she said she was going to be there, and so I messaged her, and she said no. I completely forgot. Now my things had to be picked up by today, or they will be disposed of, and these are just their personal documents, their pictures, their photo albums, their things like my rowing medals, my figure skating badges, my baseball badges, my soccer badges, all of my athletic, my lifeguarding, everything like that, because I was an athlete when I was younger. Photo albums of when I went to Guatemala growing up, photo albums, pictures of when I was little. I had a whole Rubbermaid container of photographs of my road trips, photographs of different people, just photographs, right? That I always said, I had this big huge Rubbermaid container, and I always said I was going to use it for scrapbooking. I was going to scrapbook. I was going to go and do scrapbooking one winter because it's winter, which I never did. And documents like income tax. I kept all of my income tax files dated back to 2009, as well as that's it. I think that's it. Anyways, so Linda Cooley instituted Tracy Giesbrecht to do this because now Tracy Giesbrecht has been spending a lot of time at 268 Atwell. That's why I've heard it. The reason why she spent a lot of time at 268 Atwell is because she's not leaving until I have a raping schedule. Not forget about all the clauses that have been written, the clauses that in case that a woman that Stephen Long wrote, which I think it's been rescinded, it doesn't even matter. I'm not part of Catch the Fire Toronto, I'm not part of Catch the Fire Rally, and even if I were to speak, which there is talk of now, that I was to come in and speak in Toronto, you can't institute a guest speaker to have a raping schedule. You can't, Mary Audrey Raycroft, you can't. You can't institute a guest speaker to have a raping schedule, in which case did Jessica Tate have a raping schedule? Has Heidi Baker have a raping schedule? Has they? In which case, has Kaylee Hellingale, I'm going to say her name wrong, as a guest worship leader, did she have a raping schedule? In which case, do we have all the people who come as guest speakers, all the women as guest speakers at Catch Fire churches? Katina Adams, who was a guest speaker over at Catch Fire Rally, did she have a raping schedule? I don't think so. By the way, I love Katina Adams. But do all these people have like all these people? Kaylee, I'm going to say her name wrong. Kaylee Allen. Did she have a raping schedule? Are all these people all these women who are guest speakers at Catch Fire conferences having raping schedules? Because if they are, then that's really I don't think so. Exactly. Did Patricia King have? I don't know if Patricia King has ever entered a Catch Fire Church, or Cindy Jacobs, and if they've ever entered a Catch Fire Church to do a raping schedule. I don't think so. But yeah, exactly. They whatever. Anyways, so that's where she is, and through the microphone that I heard, I said, well, you better set up camp. She's currently sitting in Duncan's office. You better set up, excuse me, sorry. She's currently water from the food bank. That's another thing I'll speak about in a moment. Excuse me. She's currently sitting. I said, well, you better set up camp, get a bed, get yourself some clothing, get yourself some food, get some groceries, buy a hot plate, buy a coffee pot. You're there for the rest of your life. Because I will not. That's one thing I stood for. That we are not standing for raping schedules any longer. If those who do not want to be a companion, and if you want to be in leadership, you do not stand for that. That's something, if you're going to Freshwind and a leader has handed you an envelope, as you're a young woman or a young man, you take it directly to the police or you call the police. If you're a parent of a child who's been asked to have extra time because they want to be extra helpers on a Sunday, then you go with them. And if they say, no, you can't come, or we prefer you not to, then you take your child home and you question your child. Are they taking you to a room and asking you to do things you don't want them to, like touch? Is there a man who's there who's touching you? Are they taking you up to the Loxie's Grill for ice cream and then escorting you up through the lobby upstairs to a room? So anyways, those are things we all need to be aware of, and actually we should have red flags going off. And then a lot of people say, because Duncan and I, and this wasn't an imaginary wedding, an imaginary engagement, it wasn't. I know that. He knows that. People in the office spoke about it as well. I mean, for crying out loud, I was going to ask Hope Winston to do the music, and people know. People do that. A lot of people call him the biggest ass in the world, but whatever. That happens. So, I stated that when Duncan and or Kate come into Canada, or both of them, or one or the other, I know that she will be forcibly removed by the office, because it's his office. He has bodyguards. She has bodyguards. They can forcibly remove, as well as the fact the Toronto police won't do a damn thing. They'll just, they don't. They don't do a thing. And they can overrule the police anyways to charge them. I do want to say one thing else. Melanie said that she was going to call the food bank today because I came back and I stole a Pro-Way peanut butter chocolate protein bar, and I stole a bottle of water, and I actually have one and a bit. And I didn't eat all of this one. And a cupcake, which is squished, for lunch. We are given a free luncheon. Very good, by the way. We are also given free snacks: coffee, tea, hot chocolate, water, sparkling water, granola bars, which that was anytime. It could be fruit snacks, it could be whatever. At lunch, it could be anything that's such as wrapped, like granola bars or whatever, as for a snack during our break time. So Melanie said she was going to contact saying that I stole it. Then that means that everybody has stolen it. I don't understand the thought process of someone such as her. I don't understand the thought process of a lot of people. I was bagging things, and a lot of people get angry because why would people donate food? Why don't these people just get a job? Why don't these people? I work for a living. I have to buy my food. Those are the comments that people say. I would like to encourage any one of you who have comments like that and who don't understand the whole concept of the food bank. Excuse me, my hair is looking awful. I would like to encourage all of you to show up at 7 p.m. Well, before 7 p.m. on Wednesday evening. There will be a debate of our local candidates from the Etobicoke South area. I think we're Etobicoke South. And there will be a formal debate, electoral debate. I encourage you to show up and see what it is, because comments like that, our mayor Olivia Chow has stated the city has a food crisis. Why do we have people why are they driving cars and they're using the food bank? Why are they getting products such as that have been donated, like steaks, and which, by the way, are not always good. Steaks and pork shoulder and bacon and luncheon meat and cheeses and dips, and I was doing beauty products, as well as shampoos and soaps and L'Oreal and Miss Clairon. You know what? Like, these are people who are standing in the office a day in and day out. I don't know if they're earning a paycheck. I know the only money how Melanie Regato gets her money. Melanie Regato gets her money from having betting schedules on a daily basis. That's how she gets her money. She doesn't get paid as such as a normal paycheck, like a normal person. She gets her money by having raping schedules, and by any man who wants to come in and have sex with her. Melanie, take your panties off and meet me at the Sandman Hotel. I'll give you a couple $1,000s. That's how Melanie Regato gets her money. She also gets her money, or she used to anyways, when Laura, Jasmine, and Summer had their betting schedules, and she would get money for them, for each one of them, when they would have their betting schedules, quote-unquote betting schedules, and she would get money for them. Jonas Regato would get some of his money from his paycheck, but he would also get some money when he would make his pornographic movies with Jasmine and Jasmine's friends, some of whom I have pictures of. That's how Jonas Regato gets the majority of his money, in order to purchase the snakes and the rats and the crack and the methadone and whatever that he needs. And I also, that's how they get it. That's how they get it. I was told if you have a betting schedule, you wouldn't have to worry about the fact that you need running shoes, Michelle. I'm praying for new running shoes, for money to get new running shoes. My old running shoes, I left at Ship. I left my Tommy Hilfiger $5 Walmart special, Winners special, at Ship, because people who come in without shoes, like no shoes at all. I left my other shoes I gave them to, I believe, Ukrainian refugee. I gave a pair of my black flats to Prescal. So because she needed black shoes to wear to school when she started school in Mississauga, when she came from Nigeria. I wear my rain boots. So you have to wear boots, closed-toe shoes. I wear my rain boots. Big deal. Not a big deal. I will get running shoes at some point. I need a new wig. I'm praying for a new wig. See, the reality is that they will not allow anyone to get any money whatsoever. This is what they're speaking about. That they will not allow me to get any money whatsoever unless I have a betting schedule. Now, you see, the thing is that I have been looking for a lawyer. I've been turned down by 4 lawyers because they've been threatening the lawyer. They will not allow any money to be released from the church unless they have a betting schedule. Now, this isn't to deal with companionship money. This is to deal with with a lawsuit. But the reality is they I wouldn't need the money anyways, because those who have been wanting to be on my raping schedule are all Satanists. They're all members of a satanic organization, and the first thing they want to do is, they've spoken about it, they want to rape me, they want to annihilate me, they want to take my wig off, they want to electrocute me, throw me in the back of a truck, bring me down to St. Catharines and have me lynched. Okay. So when they say that, they're saying that with full knowledge, like Sandra Long, and she knows it. She's doing it because she says she wants to be a jackal. That's what she wants to be. The first person to get me down there, they get now it's gone up to $20 million. Gets $20 million and gets to be a jackal. Well, the reality is that people like Jeff Yancey is a garbage can. People like Lisa and Greg. Lisa was in the office today with a cobra, and Lisa and Greg, I believe, were questioned by the police. Obviously, they were not formally arrested. They may have an arraignment coming up. I haven't heard that so far. Melanie Regato, I would like to speak about, I think I did that already yesterday when I spoke about the Huntsman wood knife and the Swarovski crystal necklace that I bought for Sarah Smith. I bought 3 of those knives, one for Duncan, one for Justin Rife, and one for Zachary. And what I did is I sold all 3 with a Swarovski crystal necklace that I bought for Sarah Smith, because I had bought that for Sarah Smith when, I bought them and then I sold them for food in St. Catharines. And Riley Satchel bought them, and she brought them to the office. And then left them there. I don't know why. Janice Regato has one knife. Melanie has another knife. I don't know where the third one is. I know Melanie walks around. She carries a knife on her. And I know she's threatened Tracy Giesbrecht with a knife. Lisa Satchel has threatened her with a cobra. Melanie, yeah. So that's what goes on in that office. It's not really an office. We can't call it an office. We can call it a circus. That's what it is. It's a circus. It's people walking in to the office having weapons on them, having snakes, having rats, putting them in their ass, putting them on their putting on, like Jonathan's always, I'll put on a bra and I'll walk around in a bra and panties that he stole from Escada Drive or 63 Chavez Street, where I used to live in St. Catharines, or be Sandra Log, and I'll put on a bra that I got from Jonas Regato, and put it on, and then put on lingerie, or walk around naked, or I'll be like Melanie Regato and come in and have some Szechuan sauce, which is her little concoction of cracker potato, or, like, people have seen it. I have heard it in my hearing aid. Any police officer, anyone would like to come into this room and get the camera, then come and get it. If you want to get my hearing aid and give me any brand new hearing aids, then come and get it. If you want to go into that office, but you don't. You don't go into that office. Why? Because Melinda Jeffries, Janice Regato, Michelle, I have a job. What is your job? People have seen Melanie stood at Union Station in lingerie screaming, I'm a crystal methadone addict. This is a bruise from Jonas Regato, right? Like, it's not a bruise for me picking up any kind of, boxes or anything over at the New Toronto Food Bank. I have a baggie full of blood from Jonas Regato, so because he had a cobra fang. Like, seriously, this is physical evidence that I have now. So, and when they say I have a job, I do have a job actually, but I'm not getting paid because of Jonas Regato had hacked into my computer. Now, what I did is I removed some apps and I removed the remote desktop computer. And I crashed his computer, and I crashed Alice's computer, and I crashed Melody's computer. So, because they wanted my sermon. Now it's been spoken about that they want me to have a sermon, to say a sermon. The one sermon I have, the first sermon I wrote, Kate rewrote the sermon. Not rewrote it, but reformatted it. I had it all written out, but Kate actually saw it at the Salmon Hotel, which came into my hotel room when I was at one of the services, and she reformatted it for me. I saved it because I saved the original copy that I wrote because it was reformatted, and she added some verses, and a few verses, and she said put it like expand on this part, and that's what she wrote. Like, Kate did that for me because it was my first sermon ever wrote. And Duncan gave me the name for the name. It was totally a different name. It was written in 2016, and it was a very different name. I have the original from 2016 as well. So, I mean, I have all the originals. The other one that I wrote, that I just completed, which may be the one that I say. I don't know. Both of them have PowerPoint. The only thing I'm doing is because Jonas Regato hacked into my computer when I was working on my PowerPoint, he deleted some of the slides and he messed up some of the slides. So what I did is, because Linda Cooley had said to me, do one in Spanish. He said, I bet you can't do one in Spanish. Well, I did a whole one in Spanish. So I'm taking the one that I did, the PowerPoint of that sermon that I did in Spanish, and I'm just translating it all. Right now it's just a few Bible verses, and I use the translator, but I don't have the money to get to subscribe to the translator for PowerPoint. It's $119 US. I don't have that money. So I do it the hard way. Right? I go in and I say, okay, Psalm 47 verse 1 to 3, NIV. So I look it up. It's Psalm 47 verse 1 to 3 in the NIV. All of them are in my NIV Bible or my Passion Bible. So I even said to Melanie over the microphone, I said, you can say the exact same sermon, or Ash can as well. Duncan said the same thing. I think people, when they preach, they borrow different sermons from different people. But I said, it's not Melanie speaking when it's Jonathan who writes her sermons. Melanie speaking, standing up there and speaking high as a proverbial kite on crystal methadone or crack cocaine, and standing there and giving a sermon is different than. And do you ever notice, like, I've never seen Melanie minister like hands-on after her sermon. I don't see that from anybody. I've never witnessed that. What I've witnessed at Toronto has been ministry team. My full intention, and I've spoken about this before, and I've told Duncan about this before, my full intention is, and it should be with any and everybody, I don't care who you are, you should, and that's how it started out to be, is to go and say your sermon, say the words that our Heavenly Father has given you by the power of by the power of the Holy Spirit, and then minister the way He wants you to. And if you need to have people helping you in terms of if you're a woman and you have to have a man help you minister to a man, or a boy, and if you're a man and you have to have a woman help you minister to women or young women or girls, then that's the way it should be. It should not be you preaching, stepping down, leaving, making sure you're at that front door, and then leave a bunch of people who, yes, may be trained in ministry, not necessarily called to be the minister that you did when you were standing up there preaching our Heavenly Father's word. That is my position on that. You should be coming down and you should be ministering to those people, and it should not be saved for conferences. You see Carol Arnott, Mrs. Carol Arnott, she comes down. I've seen her do it. I've seen her bodyguard follows her, as well as Carol gets, she gets her own catchers. She gets she ministers herself. So does, so does Winnie Banoff. So does Georgia Banoff. They minister themselves. I see that. I've seen that happen. I have never in my life, except at a conference. At a conference is when I saw Murray minister. Actually, at the Come Up Here conference, that was when I was prayed for by Ash, and Murray prayed. I think Murray prayed for me, and then I think Kate. That was the first time Kate ever prayed for me, and Kate. That was the first time she ever prayed for me at the conference. But I don't see that happening, and that should happen because that is her calling. That's what would happen with me. Believe it or not, if I ever get a chance to speak, you're probably going to have to suffer through me praying for you. And the way I'm praying, and the way I've told Duncan, and the way I've told Kate, the way I want to pray, because I've been released to pray, and I've been taught to pray in certain areas by Georgia and Winnie Banoff from their school, and by Duncan and Kate. They've actually have released me to pray in certain areas, certain ways. But the way I will pray is because of what our Heavenly Father has told me, that I will have frankincense with me, and as well as white gloves. And when I say white gloves, I will wear white gloves in order to create a barrier for any child or infant or young woman or young man who has been sexually molested, sexually raped, to create a barrier of safety. To create that barrier of safety. Not in any offensive way, not because I want to be offensive, but to create that barrier of safety. When you are ministering to a child, especially a child that's been abused, especially a child that's been maligned, that's just wisdom. You ask them, you ask, and you use a glove. And that's what I would do. I may seek more counsel on that, so to speak, and it may not happen, but the oil will be there, definitely. Anyways, so that's what happened to my Things That Make Sense storage. Tracy Giesbrecht Ludlukuli asked Tracy Giesbrecht to get the auction, arrange the auction, and to sell my things. And and I want to publicly reiterate that I forgive Kate Daniel Smith, as she's publicly known, and I forgive her, and I hope she can accept my forgiveness. I forgive her for her words, and I hope that she can accept my forgiveness. My forgiveness of blaming her. I guess that's the word it was. And I publicly apologize. And if given a chance to speak in Raleigh or given a chance to speak in Toronto, I will publicly apologize once again in person. And if you have anything you want to say, good or bad, about, and you're in the Etobicoke area tomorrow at 7 p.m. I am not quite certain if it's open to the public. They're probably going to give me heck for saying this, but it's at 7 p.m. They're having a public debate over at the new Toronto Food Bank. Thank you.